y equals 3x over x minus 1 bracket squared. Let's have a little look at this one then. When x gets incredibly large, this will be positive over the positive squared, isn't it? So this term will dominate, so you'll get a very small positive number. And when x is large, negative. The top is negative, the bottom is always positive, so you'll get a negative. So it's going to tend to 0 that way, isn't it? Because we've got an x squared underneath. Okay, that's good. So it tends towards 0 from below here, and it tends towards 0 from above on this side. Now the other asymptote is when x is 1, so let's just mark that off with a vertical dotted line to denote the asymptote here. And this is the value when x is 1. So let's mark that. Now on the plus side of 1, the other thing to say is when x is positive on this side of the axis, this is always positive over something squared, which is positive, so it's always going to be positive. So this shoots off to infinity either side of 1. Well, we know it's got to be positive, so it's got to shoot up to there and there, hasn't it? Simply by the property of it being positive. Now, when x is 0, input that, you get 0. So we can mark that point off. So it's going to come down, swing through 0. It has to go negative, because all these values will be negative when x is negative. Simply because this is always positive underneath, and when x is negative, this is always negative, and we get the fraction is negative. So it's going to stay down. So it's going to settle down to 0 as it tends to negative large. So the only thing that can happen is, well, the first thing to do is to do this side. It's going to swing down, and then this is going to settle down there. It's going to swing down this side through 0, turn to a minimum, and then tend towards 0 from below. So that looks like the curve then, doesn't it? Let's have a look at the plotter. Let's just tap that in here. So we've got 3x on top, divided by bracket, and then another bracket, because I'll put it all in a bracket, x minus 1, close that bracket, times the 2, and then close the other bracket. And then we want to do that from, say, minus 10 to 10. Let's just do that. Minus 10 to, say, 10 will do. And let's see what the plotter comes out like. Yeah, it's interpreted it correctly. And we get an unusual function here. 3x. Oh, it's squared. That's simply because I haven't put power 2, have I? There we go. Let's try that now. Power squared, so I got it wrong in terms of typing it out. That's better. And do you notice that my minimum here was, this is much more exaggerated than the one I did. So I should really have come down quite quickly and back up quite quickly and then kick back towards 0 from below. So that's what we get when we do the actual plot. But in terms of its characteristics, this is the curve itself.